Hi everyone, we are just getting started over here. We're just getting all kind of in the holiday mode. So welcome, good afternoon and good evening. Wow, can you believe it's December already? We have so much information coming your way today, and we really hope to give you some great practical tips and advice to help you through this holiday season. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This is our final live virtual program for the year. And we hope that you've been able to join us for some or all of our virtual training sessions this year. Teleflora truly stands behind its commitment to florists, and programs like this one are just one of the ways that we bring education to you to help to grow the industry. It's been a challenging couple of years, but we want you to know that we're with you. I think I've met most of you before, at least virtually, but for those of you who haven't, my name is Lottie McKinnon, and I'm the Program Director of Industry Relations and Education and your host for today's program. I just had to get that one in there. All right, so before we get going, I've got a few shout outs and some housekeeping items. Firstly, of course, I recommend that you grab a pen and notepad. We have a ton of information coming to you, and you'll definitely want to make some notes. This program is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, Teleflora Design Education. So please subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications of our latest programs and classes. And of course, check out our library of past shows. While we're talking about social media, please do follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We always post information about upcoming shows and classes and some fun competitions. Next thing is save the date, January 5th. We're going to be presenting our next live program and the first for 2022, where we'll have some more of our education specialist team members to give you some great tips, techniques, and practical advice to help you through Valentine's Day. So during this program today, we are going to be keeping the chat open so that we can send you some information. So if you have questions, please put them in the little Q&A function in the Zoom app there. So we're going to do our very best to get to as many of your questions as we possibly can today. So without further ado, we have 4 members of our education specialist team, amazing people. So talented. We would like to welcome Vonda LaFever, Jerome Raska, David Powers, and Tim Farrell. And today we have a very special guest, our very own Senior Vice President of Membership Services, Michael Martin. Michael's going to share some industry updates and will be available for questions later on. So without further ado, let's get started. Michael, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Lottie. And I agree. I mean, I want to say thanks to Jerome and Vonda and David and Tim for everything that they do for us and for what they're going to do over the next hour and a half. They're going to be much more exciting and beautiful than I could ever be. So Lottie gave me the boring part of the industry update. But I also want to thank Lottie for being our fearless leader when it comes to education and industry relations. The last really 2 years have been quite a challenge, and it presented us with a host of unique circumstances for which we've had to adapt over time, and she's done a fantastic job. And I really do believe that Teleflora is the industry leader when it comes to virtual education and really education for florists. And also thank you, Lottie, and thank you to all the EdSpecs for attending today. So Lottie asked me to give a little bit of an update related to what we're seeing from a Christmas holiday perspective. And I could probably spend 90 minutes just going through Christmas, but I think Lottie would kill me for that, and it'd take away from the great time we have planned ahead for you. But quickly, I wanted to touch on a few items that would be of special interest to all of you. So first of all, the supply chain problems that we're experiencing globally are real. And I've been in the industry for 21 years and have never experienced anything like what we're experiencing today from a supply chain standpoint. So try to boil it up in a couple minutes, but essentially the port in Long Beach, California is in total gridlock. Normally Teleflora and really all companies across the world have everything shipped for Christmas by early November at the latest. And every year since I've been messing with this, we've always had our product shipped in early November. And this year we still have about 30% of our product that is stuck on the water outside of Long Beach, which we can't have access to. And so if you can picture it, there's hundreds of these big freight line ships that are sitting out docked off of the port of Long Beach, waiting for approval to come in and unload. And our stuff is just stuck in the midst of all of that. And so we're watching it very, very closely. But what normally was a process that took 6 weeks or so to get it from China to Los Angeles and ultimately into the hands of florists is now taking somewhere between 12 weeks and 18 weeks, depending on what's going on. So we're feverishly working the best we can to secure the product for florists, get them in, get them cleared, and then get them out to florists as fast as possible. So we'll be doing everything we can over the next week or so to get everything out, and we'll do expedited shipping, and we'll work with florists the best we can on that. So really, really unprecedented. In addition, I mean, just interesting to know that the cost of a container shipping from China to the US, historically speaking, that was around $2,000 per container for us. And so you can picture a 40-foot container with a bunch of vases on it was about $2,000 to get from China to Los Angeles and then ultimately out. And now that's increased from $2,000 to the latest was about $22,000 per container coming from China. And so that's not only impacting Teleflora and the floral industry, but that impacts every single company trying to import products from any country, across the world. It's pretty crazy. I don't expect this to last forever, but it's a little bit like inflation in real time. And so we're adjusting to that the best we can. And right now we just have to hold our breath and hope for the best and work to get everything out. Fresh flowers. So you've all seen the price and cost increase on fresh flowers over the last year. And we see it too. I mean, we, through flower buyers, stay really close to the wholesale flower market, the grower flower market. And although supply feels pretty good from a standpoint from flower buyer, we feel like we can get all the flowers that we need and get them out to all the florists. We do even see some pricing pressure on the flower buyer side. I think it's still a little bit less than what many florists experience on the wholesale side of the business with their local wholesalers, but we still see that pressure. We also see pressure on the supply chain. On the flower side, there's fewer airplanes flying from South America into Miami. And then FedEx has even kind of jumped in on the price increase bandwagon by putting in surcharges for Christmas for the first time that I can remember. They've done that historically for Valentine's Day, but now they've put fuel and delivery surcharges on the FedEx shipments for Christmas, which is unfortunate and frustrating. So challenges there as well. That being said, Christmas volume looks spectacular. And so the volume over the last 18 months has been very solid. And I hear it from florists like all of you all day long on how busy you are in your local shops and how busy the holidays have been and how busy your local customers are. And we see that too. And we've seen that stay steady really since the onset of COVID. I think things took a step backwards in March, April of 2020, but starting in May, June of 2020 and really lasting throughout this entire period, volume has been really strong. Many consumers, have you seen, have migrated online to e-commerce transactions, and those orders seem to be sticking, and we see tremendous growth on our e-florist business as a result of that. So that's been really, really good. Holds strong and is holding strong through Christmas. So we expect a really robust holiday. We expect a lot of momentum going into next year, and we're really have high expectations and hopes for Valentine's Day, which now falls on a Monday this year, which should be super strong for the entire industry and all florists. So that's very exciting. So despite the challenges that we see on the supply chain side, despite some of the challenges we see on the flower cost side, orders remain really, really strong, and consumer demand for flowers has never been better. This impacts you in many ways. And so from a florist standpoint, you're getting hit with higher cost of flowers, higher shipping, higher fuel, the price of gasoline is out of control, higher labor, maybe labor shortages. And so it's a really challenging time to be a retail florist right now. It's exciting. There's a lot of orders and a lot of volume out there, but at the same time, I know it's very taxing on all of the retail florists who are out there. And from a SRP standpoint, we look at that very closely, and we raised our prices on Thanksgiving items going into the holiday. We've raised our prices on Christmas and all of our Christmas bestsellers. And then we'll look to do the same thing as we approach Valentine's Day. So we're doing our best to one, stay competitive in a very competitive market. So we don't want to price the Teleflora products out from a merchandising standpoint where we're not competitive, but at the same time, we want to work to provide very profitable orders across the network to all of our florists. So again, really unique challenge that we're facing this year that we really haven't seen in years past, but we're adjusting and adapting the best we can and working to support florists in every way possible. So Lottie, that is a little bit of the update that I have. I'll turn it back over to you. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just put them in the question function of the meeting, and we'll circle back to that at the end. And if we can't get to questions today, then I'll work with Lottie and we'll get answers out to you in the coming days via email. So thank you, Lottie.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that update. It's really great to know that everybody's in the same boat. So thank you for that. Let's get started with the program. Vonda, you're going to start us out today. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, kind of coming off of what Michael was saying about some of the challenges, one of the challenges that we always see at holidays for shops, for you who are listening today, is staffing situations. It's hard to find staff and to ramp up, especially during the holidays. This year, it might be even more challenging because maybe you were already down 1 or 2 employees, and now you have even more work to do to get through this, nice, busy holiday. Well, I want to share a few tips with you to be able to optimize the talent that you already have in the store. Maybe you're going to bring in 1 or 2 people to help, but you have top talent in the store. And one of the ways that you can really benefit is make sure you're setting expectations. I think a lot of times, well, we know that failures in employee and employer communication comes because there are not clear expectations set. So I want to challenge you to set expectations for your designers, for your staff, and make sure they're realistic. I mean, I'd love to say to a designer, hey, I want you to do 20 arrangements an hour, but that's not realistic. So the general rule is this: if you're a designer and you're making $15 an hour, your employer is paying extra fees for you, right? You're matching taxes, maybe a vacation. So you are costing at $15 an hour, that employer about $17.50 an hour. So let's just go with that. So $17.50 an hour, you should be able to produce 10 times your wage in retail sales arrangements. So in that case, you should be able to produce $175 worth of products in an hour. Now, that sounds pretty easy, but in the short of it, you know that an 8-hour day, you're not going to just be producing arrangements. So we have to look at that over the course of the day. So in that $175 8-hour day, you should be able to produce just under $1,500 worth of product. Okay, so we look at that and we divide it by 8 and we come up with 3 $60 designs per hour, or 24 $60 arrangements in the course of a day. Okay, I think Lottie's going to drop that in the chat because sometimes that's kind of hard to get in there to understand, but it's setting the expectations on a real level, right? So it's pretty doable. But when I look at that and I say, okay, sure, I can do that. If I didn't have to answer the phone, I didn't have to process the flowers when they came in, I don't have to wash the buckets and get everything cleaned up, which many shops, you're doing everything. So trying to keep that productivity up while you're doing that is important. So set the clear expectations. The second tip I'm going to give you is give that designer a designer assistant. Sometimes it's hard to find people who are experienced to come in and work the holidays, but try to find somebody who can come in who can help, maybe people after school, students, somebody who you can come in and just have them there to learn and to be a design assistant. Now, increasing that productivity will go up greatly if you can do that. This is a person who can process flowers, clean the buckets, fill the vases, maybe take your design bowls and put your foam in them, bring those flowers to the designer, so get them set up for success. So that can really make a difference in your productivity. Now, I'm going to put that together. So now I have $10 an hour for my design assistant. I have $15 an hour for my designer. So I'm at $25 an hour plus the taxes and the other costs it costs for the employer. Now I'm at $29. Let's just fast forward, right? That's about $2,400 a day that between the two, you should be able to produce. That's $40, or excuse me, 40 arrangements of the $60 arrangements during the course of a day. Now you're talking a lot of productivity. I'm using my best staff, giving them some help and allowing the two of them to really be very productive. So those two tips will really help your existing staff with maybe somebody you're bringing in to help make a huge difference. My third tip is this: set blocks of time for the designers or the employees to have the time to complete a task. If I'm designing and I'm trying to get something done and I have to answer the phone, I have to do all these other things, it's hard for me to keep focused and get it done. So I'm going to assign Lottie the first hour of the day to be answering the phone. She can still design, but first you're going to answer the phone. David, if the phone rings again, you're going to get the second line. Now that allows Tim and Jerome to be designing and not having any distractions. They can get a lot done if they don't have the distractions. Second hour, we're going to rotate that, and so somebody else, Tim is going to take the first line, Jerome's going to take the second. Lottie and David now can get what they need done for the day. We found that really helps productivity, because when you can focus and keep focused on the job at hand, you can get a lot more done during that time. So, and don't forget to encourage people, right? As we're doing that, it's like, hey, how's it going? But Jerome and I are going to talk on that a little bit later. Now, taking the time to properly train that employee can sometimes be challenging, from washing the buckets to processing flowers. And I hear shop owners say, I can't bring somebody in to do that because it takes me twice as much time to tell them what they need to be doing. And it's frustrating for me. And so I just rather do it myself. We hear that a lot, right? You can't do that. It's not good for you. It's not good for your house. So we've heard that for a long time with Flower Click, which is why we created a course called Flower Prep School. And it really can take, we say, a delivery driver to a designer, because it shows how to process flowers, how to clean the buckets. And you can put them in front of this online course and they got it. So Lottie asked if we could give a real special deal on that. So she does have a code and a login if you want. It's like $300 off the course for the Teleflora attendees today. So anybody interested, just reach out and Lottie can give them that information. So now, armed with new staffing tips, I want to move on to the other challenge that Michael alluded to as well, and that is working through the supply chain. And David Powers has some great insight from that wholesaler's perspective. David, I'm listening. What do you have to tell us?
All right. So the supply chain is, like Michael was saying, is so crazy right now. The floral supply chain is actually getting a little bit better right now, as far as what I'm seeing here on the East Coast. There are always going to be some dilemmas of trying to get things flown in from Italy and from Holland, because as you know or may not know, the flights that we use for our fresh flower product are actually passenger flights. Those passenger flights, the first thing that goes on those flights is going to be passenger luggage. That's why sometimes your wholesaler or the people that you're working with will tell you that your flowers have been bumped or your flowers are on a flight delay. So those are things that you should always keep in mind. So what I'd like to recommend to you is that from a wholesaler's point of view, think about your recipes that you're doing for your product. Think about what you're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You know that you have your Teleflora containers coming in. You know that you're going to need certain product for that. Order that product early. The earlier you order it, the earlier your wholesaler can actually get the best pricing for you. Yes, prices are have gone through the roof, and that is because of all the surcharges that Michael was actually discussing. As far as our supply chain, and everyone is feeling this, I'm sure, and you'll agree that who would ever have known that we could not get foam products the next day? Who would have ever known that we would not be able to get glassware? It's commonplace. It's things that we have every day. But with those cargo ships and the pricing of those cargo ships and each one of those containers going from, as Michael was saying, from 2,000, we actually have one company that is actually in a bidding war. And those containers are literally still on mainland China, not even on a ship yet, because those shipping charges have gone from $6,000 to $42,000 per container. And the companies that are sending us that product don't want to unload that product. They want to get that product to where it needs to go. That would actually add $2 to $2.50 per vase wholesale to you. And that's what's going on right now. So with keeping all of that in mind, our suggestion, my suggestion and recommendation is to order a product that you know you're going to use and that you can get in earlier. For instance, hydrangeas. If you get one of the lower select grades of hydrangea, there's normally 40 stems in a box. Properly cared for, that hydrangea will last you 7 to 14 days in your shop, and then an additional 4 to 7 days for the consumer if it is properly cared for. It will become less creamy and more white, okay? Carnations, if you can't get hydrangeas, you could use alstroemeria, or you could use carnations and cluster them so that you could make a larger impacted flower, and you think it may last longer than the hydrangea, because we know carnations and alstroemeria are one of the longest lasting flowers. So those particular items, you could actually order a week in advance, get them to their perfect usage, put them into your cooler, and reduce the growth habit of that so that it slows the process down. And then you can use them more abundantly and they look larger and more lush. I have found that there are a lot of wonderful new florists in our industry coming in. I applaud them for coming in at this time during COVID, that they are taking on a risk, but they are maybe not quite as knowledgeable of what they need to do. If you're here and hearing this, thank you very much. Congratulations. That's what we need in our industry, is new blood. So, but learning these techniques of what to buy, how to buy, when to buy, are going to help you in the long run. As you can see here, I don't want to move the phone too much, but there are lots of beautiful flowers that are available. Okay, so the Nerine lilies, I'm hearing an echo. I don't know if that's me. Okay. So the Nerine lilies are amazing right now. They're a little bit pricey, so that's going to be one of your higher pointed flowers. But you know, your individual things like the alstroemeria, the white Ramon, the little round ball cremones, they are
David,
really
we're
exciting.
getting pretty bad feedback on you. Can you just mute yourself and come back on again?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Maybe that will fix the problem.
Let's hope. Is that good?
No, we're still hearing you. Can we maybe try and fix that offline and then maybe turn it over to Jerome in the meantime?
Yes.
Thank you. Jerome, we're going to turn it over to you because I know that you've got some really great info coming our way.
Okay. Here I am.
You're here.
Yes.
Show
Welcome,
us-
everyone. Happy to be here. The first topic is really to talk about, now that we've heard about some of the challenges. You're getting
We're still
feedback on me
getting an
now too,
echo as
right?
well. Yeah. Can you turn one of your microphones off?
Sure.
All right. I think we're good now. Go ahead.
What caused that? See, I'm still getting feedback.
Technical problems.
Oh, now you're doing it too.
All right, let's see how we are. How is that?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Is that-
perfect.
That's better.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go
Nobody
for
touch anything.
it. The wonders of modern science. Go for it.
Exactly. Anyways, just basically, as we're going through this presentation tonight, we're all just kind of capitalizing on what the person before us said and the person before us. And really, as a retail florist, now my responsibility is, we've heard from someone that wants to talk and make sure that we have the best training. And we heard from Michael about some of the concerns with shippings, and of course, David with products and that. But as the retailer, I'm right here. I'm right on the front end. So the best advice I can say is for everyone to just really slow down, because I think we're all in a really fast hurry right now, because we feel like we need to be. Slow down, take a breath, and reevaluate all our pricing structures. Because if we're not pricing things properly based on the cost of materials, we're kind of running in a lot of circles and spinning our wheels and not being profitable. And as you indicated earlier, I think it was Michael or Lottie, we've had a great year. I mean, we've had a busy summer, we've had a lot of orders, people are ordering strongly online. But the reality is that it's not about quantity of orders, it's about making sure that each order is profitable. So we really need to reevaluate that and take a look at it. And it takes time. And I think that's where we all struggle. And I think Vonda will touch on it again in a little bit, that having an owner or a manager take the time to actually do the necessary price sheets and to do the necessary analysis or creating recipes for designs, so that you're really making sure that each and every design is profitable. That includes checking your website, because our websites, obviously, if everyone's ordering online, that's what they're seeing. That's our store. Our storefront is our website, and we have to make sure that that pricing structure on there is adequate. For some of our retail shops, I know it's a struggle with technology and that. The Teleflora Web Services is there to help you. They will absolutely help you get things in place for you. You can just call them and say, I want to increase all the prices by 20% or whatever you deem necessary, and they can do that for you. Or you can manage it yourself on ESAT, which is what we do, and you can position your own pricing. Every design we do at multiple price points. And that way we can still try to accommodate those clients, especially this time of year. And I'll talk more about it when I show you some of my actual designs. We're in this holiday season where sometimes people want to send multiple arrangements, but with the cost of everything going up, I don't know about where you're at, but not every one of my clients is willing to spend $150 or $200 on every client that they send flowers to. They need some price points that are a little less expensive and things that are more affordable, but still beautiful and unique and fun. So we want to make sure we're giving them those options, but at the same time, as an owner and as a manager, we cannot sacrifice our profit margin. Otherwise, it'll all be for nothing. So we really need to stress watching those invoices as they're coming in. I noticed some of my invoices that have come in, some little secret surprises that get snuck in on there that I go, I didn't know about that. I didn't know there was going to be a gas surcharge. I didn't know there was going to be an additional delivery fee. Oh, I didn't know you raised your delivery fee, and that type of thing. And those are all things that we need to watch for. Not that anyone's trying to be tricky. It's just a matter of, in good business sense, you have to watch your invoices as they come in. You have to make sure that you're accommodating this when you go back and get your merchandise priced, so that your retail prices are reflective of a good profit margin. And so we're still doing our normal margin markups on our products. I know often when we do these programs, we get questions about how do you price your arrangements? What do you do? So normally for us, what works for us is our hard goods. We're still doing a 275 markup on our hard goods, and we are doing a 3.5 times on fresh product. And we add a 35% labor fee, and that's how we derive at our retail pricing. And initially, I know sometimes people look at that and they say, oh, that seems a little high. But the reality is it seems to work for us with our overhead and our fixed expenses that we have to incur every month. And this is a number that you have to work with on your own. You have to work with your own numbers and where do you need to be? What profit do you need to make so that you can pay your bills and stay afloat? We all want to be here in the future. And right now, with the price of things going up and up and up, and I think David's going to touch base on it a little bit. Right now, I'm getting all kinds of Valentine price lists, and I'm looking at these, and I'm going, oh, I thought last year was high. Now it's even higher. And, you know, and so again, it's a matter of dealing with that, getting the prices in place, and then educating your consumers to know this is why these prices are this way. I don't think it's anything different than they're facing at the grocery store today. So when you go to buy anything at the grocery store, the prices have all gone up. And our industry is really no different. We just need to make sure that we're presenting properly, providing quality product and merchandise, and making sure that we're educating them on why it is what it is. And I think we're going to continue to have great and happy customers through that process. Don't you think so, Lottie?
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you so much, Jerome. Some really great advice there. And I know one of the questions that we had coming in earlier on from Arissa, she was asking about some keywords that you use to explain your customers, you know, for price increases.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can address that if you'd like. Well, first of all, keywords is, first of all, to show the price points, we do the 3 price point structure, which I think is important because it does give the consumer a choice. So we have a as photoed, enhanced or grand version, so they can have different price points. That will help accommodate different folks' budgets. Because as I said, this time of year, people do want to send flowers, maybe something little to grandma or to the neighbor lady or whoever, the person that the dog sitter or whatever. And they maybe don't want to go full tilt on that as they would for maybe a close family member, but they still want to send something nice. So we find that the 3 price points helps with that. But as far as keywords, we try to sell generically, which helps us with our flower selections these days, so that we're not really saying that it's going to have specific flowers in it. We sell generically, so we sell a look and a feel. Do you want something, you know, in like a crystal winter white ice feel, or do you want something with pops of color? We never really say what that pops of color will be. Obviously, we're probably not going to use orange for Christmas, but we will be able to use pops of color and not necessarily define what those pops will be used in. It could be, you know, green button pops. It could be, you know, white cushion mums. Whatever we have available that particular time is what we'll use. But we're not disappointing the client by telling them we're going to offer them a specific flower stem and then not have that available.
Thanks, Jerome. Great advice. So basically, keep it simple, right?
Pretty much. Yep.
Thank you. So we're going to turn it over to Tim now, and he's going to talk a little bit about controlling inventory. Tim, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight for this program. And I'm so honored to be featured in here with the other designers that we have tonight. They're all incredibly smart people and wonderful designers. But the part we're going to whip through right now is a part called controlling inventory, and specifically about fresh products. So if you don't already have a pen in your hand and some paper, get it and write these down, post them by your phone, put them by your workstation, especially any owners or managers out there, because these are things that can make a key difference in your bottom line through a holiday season like this. Okay, so number 1, buy more flowers than you think you will need. And with that, I have a surf phrase after that saying, it won't be enough. Take my word on this. This holiday is going to be fantastic for the retail florists that are prepared. There's all kinds of transportation issues that we've talked about already, but the key thing is going to be those last few days before Christmas when people try to go to Amazon and think they're getting something in 2 days or 1 day and can't do it. They're going to call the flower shop to have some gift delivered in time for Christmas. So whatever you've done in previous years, up those numbers, buy more, and you will not regret it. This will be a holiday that when you're prepared, you'll do very well. Number 2, cut down on the number of designs that you offer on both your website and your menus and in your refrigerator in the front of the store. There's 4 main reasons why I'm going to advise you to do this. The first is you will be much more efficient as a staff in your shop producing more of the same things than many other things one at a time. It's just a keynote in production. Multiples are much faster. So do yourself a favor, cut down on the number of things you feature, the number of SKUs you feature, and you will be able to buzz through this holiday much better. The second thing under that is I want you to use as many arrangements with the same combinations of flowers as possible, but using different looks. That way you're able to control your inventory better, and by having a lot of 1 or 2 or 5 to 10 different types of flowers in, a lot of those things, but all of your designs made with those 10 items, you'll be able to keep track of what you have better, know what you have that's coming in, know what you have that's going out, and be able to produce things very quickly and efficiently. Number 3, concentrate heavily on long-lasting flowers. We know through research that's been done by SAF and from talking to wholesalers and other retailers that flowers, when properly cared for, last so much longer than not only consumers expect, but that most florists expect. So have you ever just after a holiday gone in the refrigerator, maybe 2 weeks after Valentine's Day, and seen an arrangement that was still there from Valentine's weekend and it looks perfect? It's because when flowers are cared for properly and designed properly and given that correct water source, they will last a long time. So by choosing a large group of your inventory out of flowers that last a long time, things that David talked about, the hydrangeas, the palms, the roses, even spray roses in certain varieties, you can get things in earlier and make them work for your shop so that production is done a little bit earlier and then you sell what you've produced, as opposed to trying to catch up and produce things that somebody else has already sold. The other reason why you want to have less offerings for the consumer is you're actually doing the consumer a favor. Many consumers, when they come in a flower shop, are intimidated, or when they go to the website, they're overwhelmed with the number of choices they have. So by keeping those things onto maybe just 1 or 2 pages, maybe 16 items tops, it allows the consumers to browse through there and get a good idea of what price point and what look they want to be at without being overwhelmed by pages and pages of different offerings. So again, you're doing yourself a favor, but doing the consumer a favor as well. Our big number 3 under controlling inventory is hydrate and store flowers accordingly. If you take the time, I know years ago, many florists would get flowers in, would cut them, put them in buckets of water, and 2 hours later try to put them in designs. If you work that way, you're doing yourself a disservice, because many flowers, after they're hydrated correctly and beautifully, will last just as long, and they actually take up more volume in the arrangement. So you will be able to produce beautiful designs using less product if they're hydrated and stored accordingly. My number 4 point is allow your designers only 1 bucket of a certain flower to pick from at a time. We've all been in the shops when we've seen, 29 buckets of red carnations before a holiday, and there's, all 29 are maybe half full of inventory. Don't do that. You can keep track much better of what you have if you limit the designers to all pull out of 1 bucket. So that's gone, then go to the next bucket. Because then if you processed your flowers and maybe accounted for 100 carnations in every bucket, all you need to do is go through and say, okay, I have 19 buckets left. That means I have 1,900 carnations. I'm okay through the rest of this week. So try that tip in your shop. I think it'll work for you. Tip number 5, organize the cooler once a day. And for many of us, that sounds like I do not have time to do that. When I organize my cooler, it takes me an hour and a half. That's because you don't do it every day. But if you, and again, take the time to assign this task to somebody else in the shop, another support person, shouldn't be the owner, shouldn't be the manager. Give that person the job to arrange or rearrange or organize that cooler every day, you'll be much better off on keeping track of your inventory. Number 6, this is something that comes to us that I learned in my accounting world. I was an accountant before I was a florist, and we had a term that we used that was called FIFO, F-I-F-O. And what that means is first in, first out. For you, you want to pay very close attention to the flowers that come in first, so that they're always at the most disposable spot for the designers to grab, so that they're the flowers that go out first. And maybe even in some cases, hide the newest flowers in another cooler or another spot until those first ones go out. That'll help rotate your inventory really nicely. The next tip, tip number 7, keep communications open between you and your wholesaler. There's several reasons for this. One is by talking with your wholesaler daily and getting a good feel for what's happening in the market. One, you will also then not have to inventory everything yourself. You'll be able to find out from him, okay, he's doing great on red carnations. He's got a lot left. Okay, I can wait. I don't have to inventory them myself right now. I may be able to wait to the second week in December to get them in. But if you're finding that there's real squeezes on some product, don't be afraid to get some in, have them in your shop, and you store them. One of my wholesalers used to use the expression when they talked to me, and she would actually say to me, when I would ask her a question like that, is that good stuff? How old is that? Blah, blah. And she said, basically, here's the answer. You want to store it in my cooler or yours? And sometimes that is the case, that it's the same product. It's all been harvested at the same time. It's just a matter of where it's going to be stored. Also, I find it a really good tip for myself, at least in my business, to have a threshold price. That's what I call it, a threshold price on where I'll buy a product. So for example, if carnations go over 55 cents a stem, I'm not going to buy carnations again for that holiday, if that's my threshold price. If roses landed, delivered to me, go over $1.15 a stem, maybe for Christmas, I'm just going to stop buying them or buy whatever variety it is and go to a different variety or another substitute product. That way, I know I can ensure my profit margin. And actually, sometimes the customer is very pleasantly surprised at that substitution you made. They may say, wow, it wasn't what I expected, but it was really beautiful. And therefore, I could get something else on the market that was more affordable and then be able to deliver really good value to my client. Okay, last tip, tip number 8, starting right now, starting tomorrow morning, communicate to every single customer that you have that substitutions may be necessary. If you leave it up to the customer, they're going to say, no, I just want it, just like the picture. But if you explain to them on your website, put under the ESAT format in Teleflor websites, the electronic self-administration tool, you can get in and put something up called a modal, which is a little sign that comes up on whatever page you decide. It could be your home page, it could be your landing page, it could be the category page or a specific product. But that little flag comes up and says, just so you know, products might need to be substituted depending on availability. The key is to ensure your customer with some kind of phrase after that. And what I always say to the customer is, but I assure you and I guarantee your order will be filled with the same look and feeling and value of the flowers that you've chosen. And if you do that, you can enable the customer to then trust you and have faith in you and allow yourself to still produce beautiful arrangements at a profitable point for the holiday. So Lottie, that's my tips on controlling inventory. I hope that helped everybody out. Give it a try this season, see if it worked for you, and then repeat every holiday after this.
Thanks so much, Tim. That was really awesome. And I have been trying to type everything in. And so I think that I should be able to copy and paste everything into the chat there. So here we go. Yes, we were able to do that. So if you want to take those tips, you weren't able to write the notes fast enough, I put them in the chat there so you can just copy and paste. Thank you, Tim. All right, so now I know, David, I unfortunately had to cut you off a little bit earlier, and I know you've got some really great stuff for us. So can I turn things back over to you before we continue?
Absolutely. Is that better?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So this is so amazing because there's things that Tim was saying about in your purchasing and buying that I was actually leading into is that, there are amazing deals that if you're watching and you have a really good relationship with your wholesaler, they should be able to offer you box prices of things. For instance, you can buy a box of 10 bunches of tulips, assorted colors for the holiday: red, white, and a few pink. You should be able to buy carnations in a Christmas mix. You should be able to buy mixed cases of CDN pom-poms, cushion daisy novelties in all the different varieties in white. So white daisies, white cushion, white starburst, chrysanthemums in a box. So all of these things are going to be available for you. They're all going to be amazing, long-lasting products. Tim was talking about spray roses. Well, let me tell you, there are some varieties of spray roses that I was so tired of that I, tested myself in my house that I threw them out. I was tired of looking at them after 3 weeks, after 4 weeks. So don't be afraid to buy one bunch of something and test it yourself. Maybe not this week, not for this holiday, but think about doing that now, so that you can know that for Valentine's Day, you can get red Mikado spray roses on the 1st of February that are going to last through to the week after Valentine's. Take one bunch of those now and test it yourself. Make sure you care for it, make sure you process it properly, and you'll be amazed at what happens. So make sure that you have a really good relationship, build that relationship, communicate with your wholesaler. For those of you, that know me, I do work in wholesale. I work in a wholesale florist, but I'm actually going to throw in a plug for Flower Buyer. Okay. People are going to be like, oh my God, he's going to lose his job, but I'm not, because Flower Buyer is an auction. Flower Buyer is incredible. You can, as a florist, go into that website, you can follow that auction, and you can play the market. I've heard people doing it and they have really succeeded. But what I find that is most intriguing about it is that if you know what you want, you can order it in advance at a locked-in price. Okay, so I think that is incredible with Teleflora and Flower Buyer. If it works for you, do it. Just remember that your wholesale florist that you work with all the time in your local market is there for you to pick up the pieces. If you need more of a particular product that you can't get overnight by Flower Buyer, that florist, your wholesale florist, should have that product that you can get it the next day. Okay, so we're here for you as well, and we want to make sure that that we can support you in that way. So there are some really cool products that are coming onto the market, and if I could take just a second, this particular product here is called Lipidium. Okay, it's kind of like a pennycress, and I don't know how many of you are using it, but this is the painted variety. This stuff dries beautifully, and you would never know the difference when you put it in with your fresh flowers when it's dry. This one, of course, is fresh right now. How many of you are using peonies right now that are finally coming back in and are amazing? The red Charm Peonies are just spectacular. I was saying earlier about Nerine lilies. Wow, I'm going to date myself, but about 35 years ago, when I really kind of got really into flowers, Nerine lilies were one of my favorites. And yes, they are a little bit pricey, but those are going to be your highlights. And so don't be afraid to have some of those highlight flowers there for your consumers. But keep in mind that knowing how to properly care for something is going to make a difference. Okay, I kind of relate this to being a chef. If you are a chef and you are preparing a meal for your clients, that chef better know how to cook that steak perfectly. Okay, so with you and your flowers, you should know what that product is, how to properly care and handle it, and be able to explain to your consumer possibly where it came from and how they can take care of it better once they get it home. So you are the chef of your flowers. Okay, so knowing your product and knowing how to take care of it is going to really enhance what you can do for your clients. Okay. I would love for you to put questions in the Q&A function if you want, and I will come back to any questions that you have. Jerome did say something about Valentine's Day. I don't know if you are all getting Valentine's Day price lists yet, but Valentine's Day is literally around the corner. Okay, really, truly is around the corner. Think about your selections of containers that you're going to be using, whether they be Teleflora containers or just everyday vases. If you have a place to store them, order them now, buy them now, and store them until you get to the holiday so that you have them and you're not stuck in a hard place. Okay. Thank you so much, Lottie. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A.
Thank you, David. Thanks so much. Now, I know Vonda and Jerome, we are now going to talk about employees. So turning it over to you, Vonda.
Yeah, I think first I was going to talk a little bit about what to expect for Christmas 2021, Lottie, and how to know personally. I mean, obviously, Michael has told us it's going to be a great holiday. Tim has said that. Now, David, everybody's talking about what a great holiday it's going to be. But I'm sure the question for each individual is, how do I know what better is going to be, right? The National Retail Federation has predicted 8.5 to 10% increase in business. So if you're looking at your business, look what you did last year, know that you're looking at probably a good 10%. But I know in many markets, there's shops that have in their towns, other flower shops have closed, which means you might see a 20 to 50% increase in the amount of business you have there. So be aware of what's going on in your local market. But if you haven't already, go to your point of sale system, the Dove POS, RTI, Daisy, they all have the information in there that is going to help you to know what to expect in the next few weeks. So if you pull in that report, put in the sales by a date range, maybe you want to see what you did last year, that last week before Christmas. Pull that up, see what the prices were, how many arrangements you made. Were they vases of flowers? Were they roses? Really drill down to what they were, but then, because then you'll know what you can pre-make and not wait till the last minute to make those arrangements. Like Tim was saying, you know, Tim and David both, flowers will last a long time. So pre-make them. Are they going to be in your cooler, right? Already ready to go, put a tag on and go out the door. So knowing those numbers are really important. I also want you, when you're in there, in that point of sale system, to pull your customer list. Who ordered last year? Now, it sounds really silly, but I want you to pull that list. Who ordered, what did they order, and who did they send it to? Now, I'm going to just put that on the shelf there a minute. And then while you're in your point of sale system, pull your numbers from Valentine's Day last year. We're all talking Valentine's Day. You need to know about the containers and about the flowers that you're going to be able to pre-order for Valentine's Day. So you make sure you have the vases and a certain percentage of your orders already ready to go, or flowers already booked and ready to go. So now you have what you're going to do for Christmas. You have a Christmas list, you have Valentine's Day, and you have a Valentine's list. Take Valentine's, put that on your desk, big mark on it. It says Valentine's Day, because if you're like most shop owners, the desk gets deeper, right? And it's hard to find something. So make sure you have that mark. Now I'm going to say, now you have that list of people who ordered from you last year. I'm going to encourage you to get the person in your shop who has a really good voice, who has a good attitude, and I'm going to encourage you to make calls. Now, these are reminder calls to last year's customers to remind them that they ordered last year. Now, when we start telling shops that they should make calls, they're like, I am not a telemarketer. You are not a telemarketer, but how many times when you book a dental appointment or when you book a doctor's appointment, they call you to remind you. It's a service, it's a customer service. Remind you that you have an appointment. Well, you're going to call and you're going to remind Aunt Sally that she needed to order flowers for her niece because it's coming up, whoever that person is. 10% of the people that you call will not answer the phone. It'll go to voicemail. So you're going to be leaving a lot of voicemails on the phone and just really upbeat. Just as a reminder, you know, here at Flowers, etc., we offer great gifts for the holidays, and we can do a lot to lift spirits and make some suggestions. You know, if you know what they sent last year, those are going to make a huge difference. Now, Tim, when I was telling him this, he says, can you tell me what percentage of people actually order that? And I said, you know, I was talking to Lori Wilson, who does our sales program, and she's like, you know, I can't, but what I can tell you is that once a person makes those calls, they never go back the following holiday and not make them. They're really worth your time and effort to do it. And then think, you're not going to have as many last minute sales on that last week because you've pre-ordered them, and it makes it so much easier for all of you. So we also talked about making sure that what you have on your website, you're directing that person to your website. And again, I think Jerome talked about it. It's, you know, your eFlorist team is there to help you with increasing prices, making sure you have what's on your website on the homepage. So they're there to help you with those things. So to navigate things that maybe you're not as comfortable with. So allow them to be able to help you with that. And Lottie will put that in the chat again, you know, how to contact your eFlorist team to be able to get a one-on-one with them if you'd like to. Be sure to put add-ons on your website. If we're talking website, you know, what do you have in the store that are special gifts? It's a candy. Jerome has excellent candy in his store, I know. And cute, say maybe have Santas, angels, snowmen. What do you have that you can let your customers know who are buying online, they can add on to what you already have? So, you know, we just talked about, there's so many things that you could be doing, and this is the time to do them right now. I wanted to bring Jerome back on, like Lottie said, and talk about promoting and maintaining those positive attitudes with employees this long, hard month. I co-host a podcast with Lori Wilson, and we have 2 really good episodes that I think would be helpful for shop owners and employees to listen to. The first one is called Boss Alert, 5 questions you should ask yourself. Sometimes we don't look at ourselves as a boss and what we could be doing. The other is 4 ways to create a positive ripple. Jerome, you know how to create a positive ripple in your store on a daily basis. Could you come in and share some of those ideas with us?
Well, we try our best. I mean, sometimes the ripple's a little bigger than other days, but what can I say? We're no different than anyone else, and that's the important part. But really to realize that what you do and how you come in and the demeanor you have as an owner or a manager does set the tone for the day. And it's contagious. Just like when somebody comes in and they're having a really bad day, it's contagious. Those are the ones you want to immediately get off to the side and say, hey, you're having a bad day. Do I need to give you a different assignment today so that you're not maybe around so many people, or do you just need to go home for the day? So it's not underneath me to say that to some of my employees, to be honest with you, because I really do want them to be in a positive attitude. When they pick up that phone and answer phone calls, they have to be upbeat. They have to really sound like they're passionate about what they're doing, and they have to be really excited about doing working here in the flower shop and being around flowers and plants. And honestly, once you set that mode, it's really hard for them not to be in it. And so that's the best part. So if you have some challenges, just work on it. And once you get past that, we really don't have any issues anymore. We used to, I'm not going to lie. We used to have a lot of opportunities where there were some problems with people's demeanor and things. We don't have it anymore. And also showing appreciation to staff. That's really important anymore. You know, everybody's overworked, everyone's overstressed. And, you know, if I hear the word anxiety one more time, I'm just going to freak out myself. So it's like, okay, we all have it. We're all there. So what can we do to help each other and make sure that the day goes well? And as an owner manager, I want everyone to have a pleasant experience. I want them to really enjoy coming to work. So I try to do little things, besides the unnecessary sweets in the morning that sometimes people don't really need. But I bring, we have a donut shop just down the street, so we will surprise with donuts every once in a while, and then on occasion it'll be bagels and from a New York bagel place that's here in the area, and just little things. And I usually put it out on the table. I put it out with napkins and plates, and I have a little note that says, "Who loves you today?" or something like that, and just kind of keep it upbeat and do it randomly. I don't do it on a set day or anything like that. So occasionally we'll have pizzas for lunch. Another time I have a couple different restaurants that we do flowers for. So I'll call them up and I'll say, hey, can you bring down some pita platters or whatever, and we can serve it up and just basically surprise them randomly. Those are all super appreciated. I will tell you that I know a lot of flower shops acknowledge people's birthdays. That got a little out of control with us for a while. We may go back to it because our staff has diminished in size since COVID, but we used to have 42 employees, and it seemed like we were doing a birthday cake every day. And that got a little out of control. So we did kind of rein that one in, but you just have to do things that work for you. And if you have people that are health conscious, then do healthy surprises. That's all great too. You can do a fruit bowl or whatever you need to do. We also have the luxury of working with a theater here in Detroit, and we do a lot of flowers for them. So often they'll send me a message and say, hey, we've got 4 tickets to whatever, and do you want to go? And we always say yes, and then we put it out for our staff. And sometimes we are fortunate enough to get enough tickets for the entire team to go if they want to, but other times there's just 2 or 4 of them. And so then anyone that can, and because they're for specific dates, they can put their name in the hat, and then we just draw. And it works out really well, and people love it. And it just kind of keeps the environment fun. And we're all working really hard, and we're all trying to do our very best. And the important part, like you said, Vonda, is to just let them know that they're appreciated, and we're all in it to win it. So.
Love it. That's right, Jerome. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, I know, thank you, Jerome. Some really great tips there, and how fun it must be to work for you. Seriously. Okay, so now we've got the business side of things. We've had a really great conversation. So thank you for everybody's input on that. What do you say to us doing some designs now?
I would like to go there if that's all right. But before, I just recall I forgot to touch on one topic in the last segment, and that was about the e-florist tips. Tips in our flower shop, and how are you handling them, and how are you dealing with tips in your flower shop? So I wanted to share what we're doing, because it's been an ongoing thing ever since COVID. I don't know why it took COVID to get people to realize that they should tip florists. But I guess that's a thing now. And so Teleflora has added it onto the eFlorist site. And we are a little different because we have 2 retail locations. So we kind of had to figure out a method on how do we divide up the tips, or who should get the tips, and that type of thing. And honestly, they can really add up. I mean, initially, some of the staff members said, well, why don't you just use it to do the lunches and the dinners and the things that you do occasionally? And I said, well, that's fine. But I think last month we had over $600 in tips, and that's a lot of pizza. And so I said, nah, that's just not going to work. And I want to do that as an employer. So I think the tips belong to the employees. And so we have a policy in place where if a customer comes in the store and actually deals with a sales associate one-on-one, and at the end of the sale wants to give them a physical tip, then that's theirs, because they helped them. It's kind of like being in a restaurant and you tipped your waitress. But if they say, I want to add a tip on, and this is something that happened for a while too, and I shook my head, because you got a sales associate that works really hard with them, tries to get them to agree or be knowledgeable on what it is that they really want, and then wrap up the sale. And then at the end they say, oh, and can you add a $10 tip for the driver? And I had my sales associates going, what did I just work all that for? And now you're going to give the tip to the driver who doesn't even know anything about this whole interaction I just had with you for 10 minutes. And so I kind of agreed. I thought, well, that's kind of wrong. And so we've now decided any tips that are not physically handed to an individual go under a key in our point of sale system when we ring up the sale. We worked with web services, and we put in a second product code. So now we have a tip for our Holly location and a tip for our Ferndale location, and that's where those tips get entered. And at the end of the month, we run a report, and whatever tips were for whatever store, then those tip dollars are going to get divided up evenly between all the employees at that location, including the person that processes the flowers, the person that comes in and wash vases, the person that designs them, because, you know, designers do make more money. And I know some shops said, oh, well, they shouldn't get tips because they already make more money than some of the other people. But at the same time, we got to work together as a team. So we have found that is the best way for us. And everyone seems to be in great agreement over it. And they're happy with their little bonus at the end of every month. So we're just dividing it up evenly between all of it. Even the drivers' tips go into that, and the drivers get tipped out along with all the other employees. So it works out perfect for us. So I just wanted to go back and cover that real quick. Okay, Lottie?
Thanks, Jerome.
You're welcome. Next thing is, we talked about the challenges of getting containers and the challenges of finding some flowers and things. So as in most flower shops, and I think we'd be hard pressed to find very many that didn't find this to be true, and that is, we have containers. We have things that we can put arrangements in, whether they're from a previous holiday that we stored them, or we have containers that we bought for something else, or we bought something, we rented it for a wedding and now it's just sitting in a box. Let's take some of those containers and turn them into holiday feature designs and just use up the inventory we have until hopefully we get through some of this situation that we're all in. It also helps with inventory very well. And so we have really been working on that. We actually didn't have really much for holiday containers left over, if you will. So we did make some purchases early on. We are firm believers here in our shop that we have customers that still want something that's kind of whimsical. You know, I think Christmas is still that one holiday where as I say, children come out in all of us, and we think of holidays past, and maybe you want to send something to grandma or something like that. And so I just took this metal sleigh that comes with a liner, and fortunately, I do still have some foam, so I use that, but I got a non-foam design coming at you shortly, so bear with me. For those of you that do have foam, this worked really well. If you don't have foam, you could actually take and put tape grid work across this and just do water in it, because it does have a hard liner, and you could do just fresh flowers in that with a grid work. So that's also an option, or create a chicken wire base that also would work. So there are opportunities available for all of us, but this is just a very simple design. It's very traditional, but we still sell a lot of this look during this holiday. And this is part of what I wanted to share, is to make sure that we're not negating the fact that we still have this customer that wants a traditional arrangement to send to grandma or to send to a loved one, and have it in somewhat of a feel that kind of replicates of holidays gone by for them. So this metal sleigh is going to be a blowout for us. We have several cases of it, and I know we're going to be out of them probably by mid-month, because they're already selling. People just love them. And it's just simple. It's red carnations, it's white button pops, it's some ribbon, and it's a few berry picks with the mixed foliages. Use some of the eucalyptus in it for that dove gray color, and it really gives you a nice value with the length. So it's showy arrangement, and that way you can work with the price points, so that as we have to increase some of our pricings, let's keep in mind that people will probably want to see some show for that, at least here in my marketplace. And again, that's something that we all just need to look at. You know, we're all in different markets all across the country. So what is it that your customers want from you? Do they want a really tight, low, compact design and still be willing to pay $175 for it? I don't know, but you need to make that definition. Some of our clients are going to want something with a little bit more size to it if the prices go up. And so that's what we're doing with this type of design. So that worked out well. But like I told you, I do have a design that I created we had these wooden boxes that we had from a wedding, and we used them as a rental, and they come with a hard liner. So I just did, again, something whimsical, only this is just in foam, no foam, this is just in water. I didn't do a grid work, I just crisscrossed and laced the greens, and you can see it drapes beautifully. It really only has 2 fresh flowers in it, which is the large mums, and it has a snowman in it. So if somebody doesn't want the whimsical aspect of it, it could just be a simple garden, beautiful collection bouquet like this with the cones and the berries, the rose hips and the blue perm and the mixed greeneries, or with a little bit of whimsy. And I'm telling you, as much as it may not be something that you like or I like, we sell the heck out of these. People just love it when you put a little snowman or whatever the little creature may be that you put in there. We happen to have these snowmen, and we had a whole bag full of them, and I said, let's just put it in there, and it nestles in nicely. And the important part is, look at the size of this design, and it's all in water. That also is going to tell us that it's going to last a lot longer too. So just like some of the others have talked about care and handling, any of times the fresh greens are directly in water rather than foam, they're going to draw much more water, and they're going to hold up and be nice. And this will last. We could deliver this tomorrow, and it'll be beautiful all the way through the holiday season. So I just wanted to start out with a couple simple designs like that. And keep in mind, look around your shop and find what containers you have and create designs for your website and for your refrigeration, so that you're moving the product you already own, and you're just bringing it to new life and using it for the holiday.
Thanks, Jerome. It's so cute. I love the little snowman.
I thought you would.
So cute. Tim, over to you. Oh, you're muted. We need to unmute you.
Okay, are we unmuted now?
Yeah, you're good. We can hear you.
Oh, good, good. Okay, so I decided for the first design to make an alternative arrangement in the vintage stoneware bowl that we're all featuring for our special for Tale of Florida. It's the #1 special that we have this holiday season. It is a fabulous container, and if you haven't seen these, unpack them, get them out on the shelves. They're beautiful, and it's a nice piece that's not only FDA approved for food, but it's oven safe as well too. So it's a great keepsake, which is, again, part of that gift-giving experience that we like to promote to our customers. I know every year, every holiday season, we do very well with the Teleflora containers. I have learned to rely on the marketing efforts and the research efforts that the team at Teleflora has put into these things, because they're already tested with consumers, and consumers love them. And again, like Jerome said, maybe everything wouldn't go in my home, but all of these will go in somebody's home, and we get the whole line in for that reason. We do very well with them. But this also is a container. Let me bring it a little bit closer. This is featuring all the same products that we're going to have in most of our arrangements. Rose hips, the PO cedar, the Poodorford cedar, Douglas fir. We have the variegated mini pit in here, or the Pinot Negro in here. And also, other than the red roses, some pine cones. But we featured some of the red peonies because they're such a trendy flower. And just to say the word peony right now gives it added value. So we're going to feature some of these beautiful red charm peonies in a lot of our in-house specials, and it will be the last item that goes in this when it goes out, but they're just beautiful. And again, it's a great upsell to an arrangement that was maybe going to be $59.99 or $69.99. We can now have this arrangement easily be over $100 and be a beautiful, stunning design that's going out to our customers. The interesting part about this is I wanted to create this also for you in water, because we do have a lot of florists that are having such problems getting foam right now and are really unsure if they're going to have that product in their stores before the holidays. So I took the stoneware bowl, and for mechanical on this, I used the 6-inch pillow from the Holly Chapel line from Syndicate Sales. Clip both pieces together so we get that great oval shape, and believe it or not, it fits beautifully right on the top of that container. The little knobs that are on the end of this pillow just sit right on the edge. And what I did was I just took a little bit of the U-glue pieces and dabbed one of them on 3 of the 6 radial pieces that are here, peeled off the paper, popped it on there, and it sticks onto the bowl really nicely. I mean, I won't take the time to do it now, but when I did stick that on there and I put that on the bowl and gave it a little press, I could actually pick the bowl up by the grid or the Holly Chapel pillow. It's that strong. It gives us a great network to sew our flowers through that grid and have them lock into each other, so we can achieve a design that, again, pretty sizable. This is probably about 24, 28 inches from side to side here. Pretty sizable design, a beautiful centerpiece to go on a table, but again, lots of texture, lots of elements in here that are a little bit more unexpected, like the rose hips and the peonies, and it's a great upgrade to that traditional Christmas centerpiece that we're going to feature. Okay, time to go back to Jerome, I think. Is that right, Lottie?
Yes, thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Jerome, where are you?
Am I there? There I am. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, we just can't see you. Are you doing a big reveal?
I guess. What's going on with my reveal? I didn't realize I was, but things happen.
The screen is currently dark for us with you, so
Oh.
we'd love to see your face.
Well, isn't that interesting? Oh, there you go. That's a lot better. The big reveal
The
is
big
nothing.
reveal.
Anyways, in keeping with what I talked about earlier, we have these great containers, and they have, it's a red ceramic cylinder that has a belt around it, kind of like a Santa belt. And what I wanted to do is emphasize here the ease of design. As we're all short-staffed, we know we're going to be busy. Let's create designs that we can do expediently and really do a nice, unique look at the same time, but yet not have to worry about how much foam we're using. So this was nothing other than some curly willow tips that I had, and I literally took them and bent them in half, and I shoved them in there, and that became my grid work for my design. And so I then just simply laced in some foliages and ended up with this. This is that as my grid work. As you can see, it gives it a nice earthy feeling, an organic feel. And a lot of our clients just like cones and berries and foliages for the holidays, and they're happy with this. And that also allows us to do that whole price point thing that I talked about, because obviously there's no flowers in here. There's still some expense to this. Obviously, the Ilex berry can be a little bit higher price point. I got some nice privet in it and things like that. So it's still a beautiful, very organic arrangement, a little green trick down in there, a couple natural pine cones. And, it's beautiful. But if then they want to upgrade it, we give them the opportunity to add some premium flowers. Like Tim was talking about the peonies. We like to use Helleborus this time of year. And so it really adds a nice additional flavor to any design. And if we have them pre-done as just the base, like I showed you, you can easily add in some premium flowers for the next price point and give them a better and more full looking design, and adds a unique flower to it that isn't going to be found at every flower shop in town, because I can tell you most of the flower shops around us don't carry Helleborus or peonies this time of year. So we'll be carrying all of those type of flowers. And like Tim said, you don't need to carry 50 different varieties of flowers. Decide what flowers are going to be your best flowers for you and for your shop and your clientele, and then create beautiful designs. Like I said, simple and easy in a grid work, add in some laced foliages, and then pop in some premium flowers if you can upgrade the price point. And it works out really well, and people love it. They love the fact that it's something that they don't always see. We still get a lot of people questioning, what is that flower? And we have to explain it to them and give them a little education, which again, just reiterates to them that why they shop with us, because we're the knowledgeable staff, and we're credible, and we do beautiful designs using unique products. And when they send a gift or pick one up for themselves, they know it's going to be distinctively different than they'll get most anywhere else. And that's what we try to base our reputation on. And I think people come to the local flower shop these days for that very purpose. We all know you can buy flowers at a lot of places today. So what is it that we're doing that we can give them a better experience, a more unique experience, and a quality design to equate to the price points that we have to charge today? And that's really the equation that we all have to work with. How do we justify the price points that we have to charge with the style of design and the creativity and the level of work and the quality of the product. And once we get that all in alignment, we're golden, and we're going to have a great holiday season. So I hope you like it, Lottie. You like those hellebores?
I love it. Thank you. And also the word experience, I just really enjoyed that, really resonated with me. So
Okay.
thank you for that, Jerome.
You're
Tim,
welcome.
over to you. And we have to take you off of mute as well.
There we go. We back again? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Yes,
Thank you. Great. Okay, so as opposed to the last design that Jerome showed you with the beautiful hellebores, it's something special, and the one before I did with the peonies in there, what I wanted to show you was something with very everyday flowers. So this is my answer to a dozen carnations arranged, but in a very special way. So it is a low, long centerpiece. We have a lot of customers that come to us and they say, hey, I want a centerpiece for my table, but I don't want it to be something that I have to take off the table because people can't see over it, or there's not room to pass things over to other people. So they want something very low and very lush, but we can actually do something very fun with that as well too. And that's what I tried to create here. So I want to show you, again, it's a dozen carnations, but I want to show you the mechanic to it, because the mechanic is really the fun part about this, and something we can do in advance to have something ready to just put the flowers in last minute. So this is basically the mechanic. I'm going to bring it right up here to the camera and show you. This is basically the mechanic to what we have. And I'll show you from the other side. I kind of left this half constructed so you would see it. It's just a low black tray. This is a tray that's provided by the Oasis company. It holds 2 full bricks of foam. And I took the Aspidistra ribbon and just basically went around the entire perimeter, just around the sides of this, and just pinned in with some of the beautiful decorative pins, just to pin it into the foam very lightly, but just enough to give it a skirt so it actually covers the black container, and that leaf pretty much just makes it right to the table level. Then what I did was I took the Aspidistra and I actually just split it and ripped it. It rips very easily, but ripped it into pieces and used it almost like ribbon to just kind of make circles and pin it back into the foam. So there's circle after circle after circle. And this is something that gives us that interest when the consumer walks up to the centerpiece, or anybody that's at their home walks up to the centerpiece and they look in, they can see these beautiful circles of ribbon that go through there. You'll also notice around here where I pinned the Aspidistra in, I took also a garland of wire. I didn't do the whole thing, but I just have the pins here. And I took a garland of beaded wire and I just kind of circled it around the pins that are here to give it another accent along the outside or the perimeter of this design. So once we have that part done, this can be stored in the refrigerator for 3 weeks if you keep it hydrated. This is going to be just fine. Then as I'll bring this up, I'll show you what I did was I took the floral materials and I just added beautiful Ming fern, some of the Pitta nigra, and then added in my accent pieces like the sprays of berries and the millimeter balls, both in the flat and the glossy finishes. So we have a lot of beautiful texture going on there, and lots of different even shades of green and red all in the same design. But this is basically a beautiful centerpiece that most of the floral materials are really just along the top, which are perfectly fine for a centerpiece for a table because we have many glasswares and plates and things like that down this level. So having something more across the top is going to be very acceptable. But again, it's a dozen carnations, and it's a great way to impress your customers with your creativity, because many times we have people that call the shop and we'll say, oh, you know what, maybe not any carnations there. And we'll actually challenge them sometimes and say, why not? Carnations are beautiful. They're a very long lasting flower. They have great value, great color, and great texture for Christmas, especially, and for Valentine's Day. But look how beautiful they just nestle right in. They're cut short. So being right against the foam, if you keep this foam hydrated, those carnations will look great 3 weeks later, if it's not a really, really hot house. But again, all this beautiful texture that, you know, it draws the consumer in with not only their eyes to see the product, but they want to actually put their fingers in and start touching and seeing the different textures all together here. But also what I like is the appearance that this gives. Most consumers don't understand the process of how this is made. So they think you did all these flowers and then had this painstaking, time-consuming process where you wove all this ribbon in and out and through the flowers again. They're already here to get this finished piece. And it's something that looks like it might have taken hours, but it really didn't. It just took minutes because you did the ribbon first and then inserted all the flower materials into there. So it works out really great. What I would suggest on something like this, again, here is the aspidistra ribbon that we have that comes in a bolt. I usually use the lighter side down first. So that gives us a great color there. These are the pins I use. These are the gem pins from the Oasis company. We use them. And then this was just a beaded wire that I found at the craft store. And this is what I use to surround around the perimeter and to give another texture on top of the aspidistra that was there. But what I would suggest is when you're done, maybe take some more of this and just start to lay it on top of the centerpiece that's here and in and out of the flowers. And it just gives another sparkle and another element of texture to the design. And again, something that's just a little bit special and it's an upgrade. So every one of these items might cost a little bit more, but it's a way to get that dozen carnations from what consumers were used to maybe spending $40 for a dozen carnations. You could get, $90 or up to $100 for a centerpiece like this because it's so beautifully created with the talent you have as a designer. And it's something special that I'm sure not only the person that ordered this is going to be thanking you for, but people sitting around that table will ask the question, who made that centerpiece? And you will be the expert and the person they'll come to next time they need flowers. Okay, I think it's time to go back to Jerome.
Thank you, Tim. We had a great little comment from Teresa there. She said that our customers will love this because they are Carnation crazy.
Good to know.
Jerome, over to you.
So as we're becoming more and more conscious of containers and shipping and costs of goods and that type of thing, one thing that we're going to be watching for as a company is trying to find containers that we can buy that are ship nested, because when things are nested, it's much more cost effective for shipping fees. So we buy a lot of nested containers, and we'll continue to watch for those because of that purpose. It helps us keep our costs down. These particular containers are great for drop-in of plants. They're just a nice ceramic container upgrade for like poinsettias and Christmas cactus and little cypress pines and things like that that we sell this time of year. But in addition to that, I want to make sure that we're not losing the fact that we need to know who our customers are. And in this particular situation, we have two locations. We have one in Ferndale, which is considered, they refer to themselves as Fun, Funky Ferndale. It's a very artistic community, very upbeat, a lot of younger to middle-aged folks. And then our Holly location is a much more conservative, reserved community. And so we need to create feature designs on our website because we need to be attractive to both of those markets. So again, I want to remind everyone, make sure you understand who your customers are or who you want your customers to be and who you are marketing to so that you're having products available. Tim mentioned cutting down the amount of products, 100%. Cut it down to hardly, like he said, maybe 16 designs on your website, but those designs need to be important. Those designs need to be targeted at your clientele. One thing our Ferndale clients love is the fact they like to have fun. And so one of our little feature designs in this container is actually kind of like a little Dr. Seuss Christmas tree. And we just love doing this because it does a couple different things. We've done this for several years now. I just took some of the Carolina pine and bunched it together, wrapped it real tight with some aluminum wire, and then wrapped that around to keep the structure in place. The wire, of course, we've as an industry have used Oasis wire for a long time. It comes in different colors and things, but I know some of our suppliers are struggling to have that. And so if you don't have any, just know I went to the hardware store and bought this. So because my supplier didn't have any of the colored Oasis wire, so I went and got just aluminum wire from the hardware store, wrapped it on there really tight, and give the same effect. It's a great way to liquidate some ornaments that you have in your shop. So whatever that may be, obviously you have to be careful with price point. And then I just did the inverted magnolia leaves at the bottom. So simply taking the magnolia leaf and putting them in the opposite way gives you that nice suede brown feel and a very natural flavor, and gives my clientele the opportunity to have some fun with the holiday. You can also do an upgrade, obviously, by tucking in a few fresh roses if you'd like. If that's something that you think your client would want, or if you want to sell the next price point up, you can work those in between the wire, and you can put the red roses on water tubes and nestle them right into and basically decorate the tree for the holiday. So this is a great opportunity for you to have something a little bit different. Again, setting the bar a little higher so that you don't look like the other shops around town that are selling flowers. And it's kind of a fun way to offer something for the holiday season for someone that maybe wants to do holiday in a little bit more fun spirit. And at the same time, I'm offering it in multiple sizes, so I can do the small container, the larger container, and still get that price structure that I talked about earlier. Obviously, this doesn't have to be roses. We could use carnations. We could use a lot of different things. You just have to work with the idea yourself and create what works for you. Some people like to buy it without any flowers in it at all, and that's the way I would start it. I would have the bases done, and then you can always add the fresh flowers as the holiday goes along. And people have really loved these over the years, and they've been a huge success. So hopefully you can try it out and make it work for you.
Thanks, Jerome. So fun and funky. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tim, over to you.
Okay, back again and unmuted, I hope this time, right?
Yes.
So Jerome,
yes.
that was fabulous. And in that same line, what I wanted to create in this design was something more vertical. We see so many things that are horizontal or lower and rounder and lush, and that's because they fit into those templates on our website so well. But I do believe there's a lot of room in our repertoire of things to sell in more variations as far as design shapes and sizes, and vertical designs I think are becoming very important for that reason. So this is basically, it's about a half of a bunch of the painted white birch branches. And in this container, we have foam just up to about here, just enough to secure those branches as we put them in and make a very column-like design. We call this volumetric design, when we try to mimic the footprint of the container and just extend that up and to get a shape that's a little bit more contained. In floral design, we call that volumetric design. So we've used that, and now that all those branches are there, it almost becomes like an armature for us to kind of insert our flowers into this. We have very carefully put in a few white tulips where we stripped off much of the foliage, so you see some tulips there. The white blooms are just about to open here, and then beautiful white anthuriums, but look at this, look at what this is actually done in. There's the Festive Frosty snowman container that we have from Teleflora this year, and just look at, I mean, a little bit more serious, but you just can't help but smile when you see something like that. And we have 3 beautiful anthuriums that came to us from one of our partners in education, which is Greenpoint Nurseries in Hawaii. Beautiful, pristine white anthuriums, just a small size, but look how gorgeous something like that looks in there. And then again, just to add into the novelty, we just put cotton balls in through the armature that we've created in this shape to give us just a real fun design that has some motion to it. So we look at this and it almost looks like it was like a time lapse where we froze time, where there was snow and it just stopped right here. But these snowballs are kind of caught in this vertical column of the bushes that we have here and the branches from the birch branch. But all of this, except for those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 7 flowers that we've added to this design, 7 fresh insertions. All of this can be done ahead of time, and right before it's ready to go out the door, add in those 7 flowers and look at that fun, beautiful combination of flowers that you get that, you know, can be viewed from many different ways, but, you know, the novelty is that face of the snowman that's going to be very endearing to our customers, and just a happy arrangement. And really, in this time and these days after the last year and a half, who doesn't need to smile? Who doesn't need happiness right now? So this type of design not only shows your expertise as a designer, it allows you to kind of, you know, flex your creative muscle out there in the field and let people see who does the good stuff. But something like that, it's just going to warm the hearts of our consumers and allow us to do something really fun. So that's it for my last design here, and it is time to throw it back to Jerome again.
Thank you, Tim. So fun. Somebody put in the comments, business in front, party in back to your last design.
That's great. I love that. And you can turn it whatever way you need it to, right?
That could be a whole nother discussion there. Let's move on that one. But I agree. It was beautiful. And Tim, I love the how you took that container and just made it into something totally unexpected, which is great. And that's kind of what we're going to do here. And again, nested containers, as I said earlier, these have cardinals on them. I don't have to tell you how important cardinals are to us in the retail flower shop. People love cardinals. They love cardinals year round. But we carry a line of old world tree ornaments, actually, and we do keep them out and sell them year round. And we cannot keep cardinals in stock. Everybody buys them year round. They just love cardinal ornaments. So when we create a feature design with cardinals, we know going into it to buy for every single container we have, because they will sell out by probably the second week of December. So we are obviously using these for pop covers, for poinsettias and things like that. But we also create a fun design in them so that we can, again, offer price points for the clients so that they can have a starting price point, a mid-range, and a higher price point. That starting price point should really be at or just slightly below what your average order is on your website. And our average order on our website generally runs around $98. And so we're very proud of that. And our clients are used to spending that kind of money. You need to figure out what yours is. It's very easy to run the report. And if you want to increase that, then increase the value of the prices of the arrangements on your website, because people will order off the website. And we have not had people complaining about price points at all, which we're very proud of, because we have had to continuously raise them. So what we did with this is we've taken red twig dogwood and created a design in the smaller container with a cardinal on it, some red berries, some of the mixed seasonal foliages. Again, this is very traditional. There's a lot of opportunity for us as floral artists to create phenomenal designs during the holiday. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but we have to really focus on what is our bread and butter and what is our customer. And I know that I could make these all day long and customers will buy them one right after another. And so that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on what I know will be sure sales and that I can move that product out of the building. This is promoted. It can be done in red and white. This particular one is done with burgundy miniature carnations. We know burgundy is a hot color right now, so I might not always be able to get burgundy miniature carnations, but this arrangement would look great with red miniature carnations or white miniature carnations. So there's a lot of opportunities to do that. Doesn't even have to be all miniature carnations. I could use some of the white button pom-pom mums, or as Dave reflected to, some of the snowflake novelty mums that would come in that novelty box of CDNs. So it's just, again, picking up on the fact that it's a cardinal container. The red twig dogwood gives you some nice height, which again emphasizes size for value, and then have the cardinal bird in it. People will love that. And then we have the larger one as well, which would give us the opportunity to have a larger price point and focus on opportunities for customers to send something for even a funeral viewing. I mean, we have sent this for a sympathy viewing because a lot of people associate the cardinal with somebody that has passed and things like that. There's a lot of stories about all that. But again, basic flowers, like just like Tim said, you know, focus on what flowers you're going to sell. We've got roses. We sell roses all the time. So we're going to have roses. We're going to have berries. We're going to have some sort of Fuji mum or Cremone chrysanthemum. And then we're going to have miniature carnations, of course, just for their longevity and durability. And the fact that I know my clientele during this season have an appreciation for the longevity that a carnation will give. The rest of the year, we never sell carnations. I'll be honest with you. I mean, let me rephrase that. We don't promote carnations, and we never use carnations in design unless people ask for them. And people do ask for them, so we do always have them. It's just that's not something we would normally feature. But at the holiday season, we have found year after year, customers prefer the longevity of those flowers. So we continue to use them for that reason. And when you use them in burgundy or some colors that they're maybe not so familiar with, the peppermint ones and things like that, they really do appreciate them. And so I know I meet with a lot of retail flower shops around the country, and I talk to them in some shops, anti-carnation and things like that. And if that works for you, then more power to you. My message is know your customer, know what your customer is. Making a sale isn't about me or my sales staff. Making a sale is making sure that my clients' needs are exceeded at every turn. And when they talk about how long this arrangement lasted and how they got so much enjoyment out of it over the holiday, notice that it's in a nice deep container with a hard liner so they can keep it full of water. This easily could be delivered tomorrow and look beautiful right to the holidays, through the holiday season. So I think as we talk about these designs and try to share some information about creating designs that are well received, the real message is making sure you're creating designs that are easy to create. You're not promising a particular product, you're just creating a look and a feel. And the fact that you want to be able to give them something that is going to exceed their expectations, whatever those may be. And so, you know, sometimes we just have to ask our customers, what's most important to you? Do you want something really unique and unusual, like the Dr. Seuss tree I showed you earlier? Or do you want something that's really long lasting that they can enjoy from now through the holidays? And ask them. And then once they answer the question, our big thing in our shop is whatever you ask them, if they answer the question, make sure you write it on the order so that there's never a question in the future. This is what was asked, this is what was answered, and this is how we exceeded that client's desires. And you'll always end up with happy customers. We rarely get a complaint on a floral delivery. If it is, it's something self-inflicted, like Lottie mentioned that we sell these fabulous truffles. And we do, and people love them. But the complaint we'll get is when someone orders truffles and then they deliver the arrangement and forgot the truffles. And I'm sure you've all had those situations. We're no different than anybody else. It's just, you know, keeping it real. It's what happens. But those are the complaints we get. And that to me is not really a complaint because it just makes them anticipate those truffles a little bit more. And anyways, I just wanted to say, focus on exceeding those clients' needs, and you're going to have a great holiday season.
Thanks, Jerome. Wow, so much to take in there. Thank you. Vonda, I know you have some closing remarks for us.
Yeah, it just is amazing. There's so much to take in. I'm just sitting here. I know David and I, we were at the beginning and we were like, you know, giving business tips, but it was just great to sit back here. There's so much to take in. And I love the business tips, but I sit back and go, wow, just great tips from Tim and Jerome. And if there are any questions, please, you know, put it in the Q&A. We're here. Lottie answers emails, I think, for weeks after these too, Lottie. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Lottie.
Thank you so much, Vonda. Thank you to all of you for sticking with us today. I know it's gone on a little bit past what we said, but hopefully, you know, we crammed so much into that almost 2 hours. But thank you, Vonda, David, Tim, and Jerome. You're all amazing. I'm so honored that I get to work with you. You're brilliant. And I'm so glad that, you know, we just really hope that people got some advice and inspiration. And also thank you so much to Michael Martin for coming on today. We appreciate you speaking honestly and openly, and also for your support of design education. So in closing, happy holidays to everybody. You've got this, and we will see you in 2022. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.